The fact of the matter is that people expect us to have leadership, not to ask them to spend more money. They've sent the message.
I'm not asking.
I would say, you say, we need to let them speak. They have spoken to us. They've spoken to you, and they've spoken to you loud and clear. Okay, you're just not listening.
Excuse
Okay,
me,
and
it's
I don't
not
think
loud and
this-
clear, and Wednesdays, the kids are home every Wednesday
They're
afternoon.
not home anymore when we approved this
I
budget.
know, but they were, for a whole year.
They were, and
year.
and why was that? Because you voted for a 3-year override instead of a 1-year override.
Point of order,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, point
All
of
right,
order, could we
yeah.
please vote?
We have a call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Unanimous.
No,
Well,
no,
4 to
I'm
1.
not. What do
That
you
was a
mean?
call to vote, to take a vote. I'm sorry.
Call to take a vote.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'll vote.
All right, on the question. All in favor of an override. By the way, let me remind the board, it takes a 2/3 vote.
Right.
Which means 4 members of the board have to vote affirmative. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Yes, 4 to 1. There will be an override question on the ballot. And that override question will be to the tune of about $830,000. The exact number will be... Okay. Yeah, so we'll take a short break before we get into this next discussion.
I'm gonna get some
I
tile.
gotta
Next
call the school
discussion?
department. I gotta call.
green sheet gives you 3 examples of possible single language on single override questions. As you know, the date to actually approve the language would be next Monday evening. The questions in very quick fashion, the first is a combined town and school. It simply states the dollar amount and indicates that the purposes of funding the school and municipal operating budgets for fiscal year 2008. And as I stated, this is the format that was used in May of 2007. The second ballot question would be a combined school and total, and what it would then further go on to do is list out the municipal departments that would be the beneficiaries of the override. So it would state the purposes for the funding, the school budget, and then enumerate those municipal departments, but not assign a specific dollar amount to those departments. And then the last of the override question options would be to have a town and school override, which within that single question identifies the allocation for each department. So that would provide a certain number of dollars to the school department, and then for every other department that was included and voted by the board, there'd be a specific dollar amount assigned to it. The difference between this and a menu question is a separate question on each item. This would be a single question. However, the items would be enumerated within it. So, question is which of the formats you wish to propose, and we will begin efforts to get that together for your approval next week.
I think that it should be a single question.
Single question, but if you do the single question, then we need an override budget at town meeting to allocate it.
Right.
We need an override
Yeah.
budget voted on at town meeting, which would then put it in place if it...
We have a handout,
We have an override budget in the warrant right now, correct?
but it will need to be redone because it didn't contemplate the additional
Right, well, there's
insurance
some
money.
other
Well,
adjustments that need to be fixed,
Right.
And we
too.
also just,
There'd be a handout, I assumed that from the beginning.
We're gonna have a handout that'll
Yeah.
basically restate the budget in its
and in
entirety.
addition to that, the vote of the majority of the board just now in restoring $25,000 to the collector's office was a zero. That was not included in our override budget and recommendations
Right.
last week. So that's an additional $25,000 we put in tonight, funding it out of the insurance money. That was a zero when we came in the door this evening.
Right.
So it wasn't included at all in our proposal. It was not part of our
No,
prioritization
I
of things
understand.
last week.
So that's just setting the numbers.
Yeah,
No,
I
I know,
think,
but it's a question of how we allocate it. Based upon-
my thought was this, that we have a single override question for an amount of money that supported the override column in the warrant at town meeting approves. And that we would have a handout at town meeting, and when the motion is made for the omnibus article, it's made against the changes like we did a year ago.
Yeah, I guess the only,
So,
Mr. Chairman, the only, I generally like the one question and one amount. And I know at town meeting we have a handout, but town meeting is just a microcosm of what, the number of people that's gonna vote in the election. Without the, I don't wanna say menu, but it's not a menu, but without the menu, there's no specificity to the question. The
Right.
general public, unless they do an awful lot of research and reading, really don't know what's going to be restored and to what degree. You know, so you would have, as part of the question, you know, whatever it is, 234 plus the 50,000, $284,610 for schools. $33,000 for whatever the other line items were, and it would specify, you know, 47,000 for recreation. You know, and it would give people an idea as to exactly what are they getting for it. It'd be more specific.
I think that ends up to be confusing to people, but I'm in favor of one question, a dollar amount. But you know what? I don't care. I don't have any problem with it. If you want to do it, if everybody wants to do it, let's do it. But to me, I think
Yeah, I think, I mean, in the past,
simpler
we've always
simpler
done
is
the
always
one.
better.
In the past, we've just put the one number in. I don't believe we did a
I
menu
think that's a
approach.
good idea, though,
What's that, Joe?
the one number. Just keep it Yeah, I think that's a good idea, to keep it,
And
you know,
I-
one number and one question.
One number and then an explanation.
breakdown can
is,
show
you know,
it,
we're
you know?
allowed to put an explanation in the ballot question of what it's
If
funded.
we can put that in the explanation, good idea. I don't know, I have to check with the clerk.
No, well, we've done that before. What do you got a recommendation, Greg?
Well, based upon what Selectman O'Leary was just talking about earlier, question 2C would really be the one that would be appropriate. And that would be one that identifies the total amount of the override, and then what it does is it then shows the breakdown by actual department. So it would be one single question with a total number, and then the amounts that comprise that total would be shown by department.
That does what I think is reasonable. And it gives people that may not have gone to town meeting, because it'll be in the paper, a list of what that question is about, so that they know that some of it is for schools, some of it is for general government. That should help. I mean, then at least you're getting a broader cross-section of the
Well, you
community
might-
coming out to
Again,
vote.
then there's trash is gonna be spelled out
Yes.
specifically out there, you know,
Yes, it
so
would
then
be.
maybe you can build some constituencies to support it.
Now that I look at it, I don't have a problem with 2C.
I don't either.
Spells it out.
Somebody
Not
in
in
the
favor of an
audience,
override, but I don't have a problem to see.
somebody in the audience had a comment regarding that.
Mr. Misery, correct me if I'm wrong, but in past practice, a ballot question did not contain a dollar amount.
It has to in this case because it's a general government override. It's not a
Not a debt
debt
exclusion.
service. See, in a debt service, you know, you're gonna borrow $4 million, right? The
Right, well-
total amount is whatever the interest is and the term of the payment. But in a in a general government override, you're basically voting to raise the levy limit to a new number.
Two different
I
types of
understand
questions.
So you have to have a number.
When, you're going to vote this tonight? What happens if that number changes in town meeting? Because the town meeting number is,
It'll be too late for the ballot question, unfortunately. The reason why
well, what do you do then? Because if that number changes for whatever reason
Right.
on town meeting floor,
Right.
then your ballot
It'll,
question.
if it changes in the negative, right, then it's funded. If it changes in the positive, we're short, and we'll have to come back and make an adjustment to the budget.
But we have to set the number by the 31st.
The problem is that the April town meeting is the 7th, the May election is the 6th.